Is this a demonstration as to why we need extra FTE?
Badly need, yeah, IT and software.
There we go.
1%.
I'm back.
1% is the criteria, doubling basically.
Okay, so we're live.
I recall.
Okay,
Alright.
we're live, back to being live, okay. You had some little technical glitch right there, 3:48, and so we're back. Commissioner Menzer, go ahead.
So I had the same questions, Robin, and a follow-up to what you just answered was, on Quinn Street, what are the parameters about who gets to enter Quinn Street?
So if we are awarded our asks through the NOFA, the Notice of Funding announcement, Alan, whatever, that those beds would be prioritized. 15 of those beds would be prioritized for folks that are currently living in identified right-of-way.
That's as a condition to get that funding.
Correct.
And 15, as you said, a third? Is it, they're 45?
No, there's about 100 units, and so it's about a third of the units would be set aside for right-of-way, but in the NOFA, they have a 20% of all the beds and funds can go towards other public property. So for instance, the jungle or other camps that are not right-of-way, Department of Transportation right-of-way. So we're asking for 15 to be set aside for right-of-way, 15 to be set aside for other public property to meet that 20%. And then the rest are all coordinated entry with a few exceptions around the City of Olympia has a bypass process that they've worked out with the coordinated entry agencies.
What does that mean?
Which is, for instance, if the City of Olympia outreach staff are out in the community and they engage with somebody who isn't currently high on the for the camp that was up by the courthouse. What we had talked about is Kim has an agreement with coordinated entry that for 1 out of every 5 placements can be a bypass from the City of Olympia if they've run into a very vulnerable person that's on the street that may not be very high on the list in terms of vulnerability. And so they can make a case for moving that person into a unit. So it's just a way that they've worked that out with coordinated entry. It's kind of confusing, but.
Okay, so as to setting aside those 20%, 1 out of 5, the other 80%, it doesn't sound like, from what I understand of how coordinated entry works and how rights of way work, that there'd be any jurisdictional, it doesn't matter if they're in the Lacey right of way, it doesn't matter if they're,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah.
if
So
they're-
those are regional beds. They're available to anyone through coordinated entry, whether they're coming from Tumwater or Rochester or Olympia or anywhere in the county. They're through the coordinated entry system, they're eligible.
Yeah, I mean, because I know there was a wrinkle, I'll just call it, in terms of getting things set up and what the understanding was about funding. And I understand there was difference of opinion amongst Lacey or Olympia council members that I talked to and county leadership but ultimately, it doesn't really matter to me. I mean, that's water under the bridge to an extent, as long as the thing that we're trying to support is truly regional and not, it's not a product of, it's not priority for Olympia residents or something like that, because, that would change the character of what we're trying to, of that whole conversation.
And I believe that was Mayor Ryder's exact question at the Regional Housing Council this past week was, well, does Lacey also get to, go into Quinn Street if the Regional Housing Council is gonna support it? And the answer was yes, and that was from Darian Lightfoot right through this whole system that they have in place, so.
Okay, and then my second question is about whether or not you folks have had any contact from Quixote Village about their desire to have a new location on Thurston County, somewhere, but
Yes, I've talked with Darian Lightfoot about it, who's spoken with Beth Dolio, who's on the board of Quixote Villages. And Beth Dolio had mentioned something to me as well in passing, so we've
you guys
heard.
had that contact, and
Yeah.
there might be more to come on that.
Yeah, and they actually were, I think they were looking at applying to the RFP this summer. And I think they held off, they weren't quite ready yet, but they have talked to us about funding, and so we know that they are interested And will potentially come in and make a request for funding.
And just to refresh my, like, I haven't really been to Coyote Village in a long time. I mean, I've been to the one in Tumwater and taken a tour and stuff. It was like my first year on the board, I believe. So haven't heard much about it. Is it still doing well and
Yes.
successful? I know at that time it was a kind of a model of success.
Yes, it is. They opened another village in Mason.
Mason County, right?
And they were planning one in Pierce County in Ording as well. I don't know the status. The other thing I will point out with Coyote Village, that is considered permanent housing, so that is permanent supportive housing, where you have other tiny home villages, they're not intended to be
Transitional.
permanent. Yeah, they're short-term or
Yeah, it's a different,
it's a different model.
totally
Yeah.
different thing.
The other thing I just wanted to kind of follow up on Quinn Street is the intent is for Quinn Street to be operational for another maybe 3 to 4 years. And then it will be, that property will be converted into permanent supportive housing. So even though would be a future funding commitment, it's not ongoing, it would be kind of a, if the county provides the 600,000 of ARPA, it's probably, a 2 to 3 year commitment of regional housing council dollars to keep the operations, but it's not intended as a long-term or permanent operating subsidy. It would be for a 2 to 3 year period until that property is converted into permanent supportive housing.
Oh, are you done?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Could that housing be utilized for low-income seniors at some point?
The housing at the Quinn Street, could it be? It is not, it is shelter. So the units do not have, plumbing, so there's community plumbing facilities, so, I
I
would
thought
say
I heard you
probably
say
less
it was
than
gonna be-
ideal.
It's gonna be somewhat permanent.
Well, they're gonna remove the tiny home village and build.
Yes, but I'm saying when they do that,
Yes.
is there any chance that that could be low-income senior housing?
Sure, yeah, I don't think, there's been discussions about a specific, population, but certainly it is possible.
Okay.
That could be low-income seniors. And I'll also just kind of add, there's a couple other projects that not on kind of our list, because they weren't funded specifically by the Regional Housing Council. But, the Housing Authority of Thurston County just purchased a hotel in Tumwater that they are gonna convert into permanent housing for low-income seniors. So that's a hotel that's being
Is
converted.
that one, I don't know, down by the freeway there?
Tumwater Inn and Suites, Capital.
Which one it is? There was one that was on airport property, I thought.
No,
No.
no,
Oh,
Oil,
yeah.
yeah, that one
It didn't-
didn't go anywhere.
didn't go.
That didn't go anywhere.
So
Okay.
this is a different hotel, that they purchased, so.
Okay, any additional questions?
That's all I got.
Okay, thank you so much, Tom and Keely.
All right, thank you.
Okay, it is 3:56. Time to spare. Nicole, anything you'd like to add before we adjourn?
I would just say that we will be meeting again tomorrow, starting at 9, I believe.
Law and
Um,
justice.
Yep, Law and Justice, to pick up on some more presentations for the budget process.
Bring your big boy shorts tomorrow.
Okay. 3:56, we are adjourned.